All right, wonderful. I think we're right at time, so I'm going to go ahead and jump in. We're so excited to have everybody joining today for our big HR roundtable. We have many lovely panelists joining us, and we'll introduce them in just a second. But today's topic is all about the impact of investing in employee dreams, a topic that I'm so excited that we're chatting about today, especially at Blueboard, knowing how passionate we are about really empowering companies to enable their own employees to fulfill their dreams, whether that's doing something like getting their pilot's license, learning a new language, or even helping them to travel outside the US for the first time on a much needed family vacation. All of those things are opportunities and adventures that we bring to life for employees every day. So we're so excited to have a very passionate, inspiring conversation today about building dreams and what that can do for the output of your company related to engagement and long-term retention. I wanted to quickly introduce our host. If you're new to Blueboard, like I just mentioned, we're a rewards and recognition platform that's all about experiential rewards. We work with companies like Pinterest, GoPro, Otis Elevators, and Google to really make sure that employers are saying thank you in a way that's really memorable, shareable, and personalized. We bring to life all of those experiences through an all-star concierge team and are able to follow up with the employees afterwards with a post-experience survey to make sure that all the data is in place, showing how wonderful your recognition efforts are. So if you want to get in touch with our team after the event, you can just reach out to us at blueboard.com and start to browse some of the experiences online there as well. And we also have ThinkHuman with us. Meredith, you can feel free to wave. They are a wonderful leadership development company, really helping to unleash people to drive positive change in their organization. They have an amazing renowned training that works with all-star clients like SoulCycle, Spotify, and Snapchat. Oh my gosh, my hotel room is ringing. And it's all about really making sure the soul comes out of your company. We love working with ThinkHuman, and we're so happy to have them today. That will stop in a second, I promise. Wonderful. A few upcoming events that we're excited to host and be present at. If anyone is familiar with Avanta and Gartner, they put on what's called a CHR Leadership Summit. We're going to be there as a Blueboard team coming up in New York, actually on 11/28. The awesome thing here is that if you are an HR leader, this is a free event for you to attend. All you have to do is apply, and you'll be in a cohort of about 100 wonderful peers that you get to interact with in a one-day conference setting. So there's more information on the New York event happening on 11/28, as well as the SoCal event that'll be happening in Los Angeles on 12/12, and within the links that are shared on screen. And then ThinkHuman will be hosting a webinar that's all about embedding EQ in the workplace, which is such an important topic these days. If you want more information, you can email Anais. Her email is listed online. And then Meredith, is there information on your website for that event as well?
There's not yet, but coming soon. So check the website in the next few days or email Anais at think-human.com.
Perfect. We'll be sure to include that in the follow-up too, so people can find the link. Awesome. And then just for ongoing communication, you can always reach out to Blueboard on our resources page. This is going to house all of our ebooks, upcoming events, webinar invites, and on-demand recordings. So if you do have to duck out today, the on-demand version will be available there. Also, Dan has really gladly shared a case study that he's produced around dream management. You can find that on his website, which is dreamleadershipconsulting.com/study. And just to stay in the know on all things becoming a dream manager, you can check out the Dream Manager book here listed, but mostly Changing Direction, which is Mary's new book. You can buy it on Amazon, and we did share the link in the chat.
Excellent.
So a few housekeeping items just to be mindful of. All lines will be muted, and video will be off if you are an attendee as well. Sorry to do that. But we do have all of our panelists on screen the entire time, so you can see them and interact with them. We actually collected a ton of questions in the upfront from the forum, so thank you. I believe we got over 200 questions submitted and have aggregated those into the ones that were most popular and exciting to talk about. So you might hear your question called out during the session today. If you have questions that pop up along the way, we're going to do our best to answer them. Feel free to add those specifically to the chat section. So you might see us along the way pulling from those, kind of responding in real time, but we'll mostly be following the questions we're already shared through. At the end of the hour is when we'll be sharing the PDC code. If you're here for your SHRM recertification, you must be present live on to receive that. It will not be included in the recording, unfortunately, so feel free to stay through to the end for the SHRM PDC code. And if you do need a certificate of completion, you can email me at morgan@blueboard.com to receive that after the event. Other quick pro tips, since we are going to be doing a live chat today with all the panelists, you're welcome to change your view into gallery view. That will let you see all the speakers at once lined up, kind of like the Brady Bunch. That way you can see everybody together and not have to worry about the slides as well. We'll be turning those off in just a second. Great. So going forward, we're going to go ahead and start to introduce our roundtable here. I'm Morgan Cheney. I'm one of our founding teammates and our head of marketing here at Blueboard. And the question that we're asking everybody is, what's on your bucket list? So I'll go ahead and start. And the funny thing is, whenever you guys heard my phone just ring, I'm actually calling from a hotel room because I'm on my way to cross a very important item off my own bucket list, which is to see Antelope Canyon and Horseshoe Bend and to do some hiking near the Grand Canyon. So it, funny enough, worked out that I flew into Phoenix last night, and I'll be hitting the road right after this to drive north to see some of those really natural wonders of the world. So I'm super excited for that. So on my end, that's been on my bucket list for forever, is to do some Southwest hiking and to see the Grand Canyon. So I'm pumped. It starts right after this. Next, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Mary Miller. She's the CEO and chief dream maker, if you will, at Jancoa. Mary, what's on your bucket list?
Oh, I've got a bucket list. When Matthew Kelly had his first, after writing the book, Dream Manifesting, we inspired the program that Matthew wrote about at our business, Jancoa in Cincinnati. And I recently went through my papers and found my original dream list of 100 dreams from 2008. And I just stuck it in my little manual, my notebook, and stuck it on the bookshelf and found it last week. And that was 10 years ago. And I took a highlighter and went through the amount of things, just writing it down, taking that time and seeing how much had come through was just eye-opening for me. So I just know it's constantly important just to keep moving forward, to have those dreams. And my biggest dream is to just travel the world and inspire dreamers to go after what they're made to do and use their gifts and talents to make those happen.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mary. We're so happy to have you. Next, I want to introduce Esther Riley. She's an HR generalist and dream coach at NetSureit. Hi, Esther.
Hi.
Tell us what's on your bucket list.
So a few years ago, with my love of candles, my love for candles, I decided to create my own. And on my bucket list now is I want to see my candles on TV and on like Oprah's favorite things. So that's on my bucket list, and I feel like I'm working toward it slowly but surely. And yeah, so I'm excited about that.
Nice. What's your favorite like scent that you've made so far?
Oh, my favorite one is a white musk. There are only two, so I shouldn't say that I have a favorite. But yeah, my favorite is the white musk. I know don't think that I'm corny. I didn't. But, so this is the one candle.
Like, actually, here it is, right here.
Yeah.
Link in chat coming.
Right now, look, her candle's on TV.
I know, it's on TV. So this is the one. It comes in silver and in gold. Yeah, these are my candles, and it's on my bucket list to just have it be a household brand.
That's awesome.
So Esther, are they available online currently?
Oh, Mary. It's available at regalialifestyle.com.
All right, you should throw that in the chat.
regalialifestyle.com.
Yes, I'll put it in the chat right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Joe from the chat just asked, where can we order?
Oh, Joe, thank you.
Joe gets a candle, you get a candle, you get a candle, just like over there. So funny. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's great. And then we have Dan Rouse, who's joining us. He's the co-founder at Dream Leadership Consulting. Hi, Dan. How are you?
Hi, everyone. I'm really excited to be here. First of all, excited to be here with Mary and Esther and Morgan, everybody. And so you asked the question, what are some of my bucket list dreams? One that's germane to this. I mentioned earlier to this group that my dream is to have someday in some company somewhere someone say, well, of course you would have a dream manager. Like we all kind of dream of a day where that just becomes standard practice as a business function in a company. But knowing that that might be a few years off before it becomes standard practice, the one that's currently on my mind is my wife and I have been working on building our dream house. And it, like literally, this is a house that we probably had no business start building when we started, but now makes perfect sense. And literally, we are set to inherit said house in just a couple of weeks. And so my wife and I are just dreaming of the day where we get to be in this house, which we've been waiting for so long. So that's a dream that probably maybe as a husband, one of my dreams is to make my wife really happy, and that's going to happen in a short amount of time. So I'm really stoked about that.
That's so exciting.
Yeah.
How far away is the current house or the new house from the current one? Pretty close.
Currently this is a funny story. We're actually following another dream of ours, which is to tour the country with our family. And so we've been on a 9-month tour of the country where our house is getting ready. And we're just
so
kind
cool.
of waiting to head home and set up home base. But so we're like living in Portland, Oregon right now, or near Portland. And anyway, really excited. So dreams tumble one after the other, because in order to be a great dream manager, or a leader of dreams, you first have to be a great dreamer. And so buckle up, because it's about to get a lot more exciting if this is something you're deciding to pursue.
Exactly.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dan. And last but not least, Meredith Haberfield, who's the CEO at ThinkHuman. We're so excited to have you today, Meredith, and thanks for being my awesome partner in crime on this webinar.
Such a pleasure.
Yeah. And talk
All right,
to us
you ready for me to answer?
Yeah.
What's on my bucket list? Mine, like many of you, mine is changing all the time because things get crossed off and new things get added.
Right.
So one big one for me is that the human beings not only experience ourselves as interconnected through the internet and technology, the way that we can see and feel the world happening today, but that we relate to one another in a way and make our actions toward one another, regardless of boundary, country, origin, background, is as though we are all connected and family, which in my view, we are. So a lot of my work toward that dream is connected to that dream. So that's one. And then one more tactical one is to visit the continent of Africa. I have always wanted to. It's always seemed for me like just at the tip of my fingers, out of reach. And I think that one's coming 2019. So I feel very inspired.
We have friends from Nigeria, from South Africa. They probably are ready to host you, I'm sure, right?
I know. I see.
I would love to join you, Meredith. That's on mine too.
Meredith, I'll probably be there in 2019 also. My cousin actually goes to school at University of Cape Town and will be there for his graduation. That's a fun trip. So let's coordinate.
Yeah, that's right. Let's plan.
Well, wonderful. Well, that is our panel, and we're so excited. Everyone brings such rich experience in helping dreams come to life. So we're so excited for the topic just to kick off. And on that note, Meredith is going to be our chief moderator. So I'm going to pass it over to her to start going through some of the questions that the audience has supplied. Like I mentioned, we will look to chat here and there and hopefully pull from some of your questions along the way. Otherwise, stay tuned and get ready for an awesome conversation around dream making.
All right, thank you. So to everybody out there that is connected in today, thank you so much for being here. We're really excited to have you join the conversation. So as Morgan said, please get in the chat, enter questions in the Q&A. We are going to be pulling from questions that you submitted either in your registration or live right now. So join in. With Thanksgiving coming next week in the US, it's a natural time in the calendar to take that extra moment to consider all that we appreciate and to celebrate and honor that. So it's like a time in the cycles of the year to just reflect on that. And today's conversation is about a very exciting way that some pioneering leaders that you can see on the screen, and their organizations are celebrating and supporting people within their organizations. And they're doing it in ways that pay dividends to the organization, like really make a difference for the organization at large in terms of things like attracting, engaging, and retaining incredible people, and in ways that are really meaningful and touch human beings. So we all know culture is the hot thing in business these days. We know that thriving cultures have 2 to 3 times the returns of their peers, and billions of dollars are being spent each year to create that Shangri-La of high performance culture. People are spending it on beautiful office space and kombucha on tap. And I don't know about you, but I love it when I go to offices that have those things. Don't knock it, it's great. But we also know that the experience of being at work lives at a deeper level. And the culture is that day-to-day lived experience of being at work. Do I have a sense that I matter here? Do I have a sense that I belong here, right? So how do we create and embed that? And right now, we get to chat with some leading edge pioneers about how they're addressing this. So let's get into that. These leaders have all institutionalized Dream Manager programs. So people are often asking what systems you can embed that create culture change, and here's one. And these programs embed a mindset and behavior in how people in the organization work. So Mary, Dan, Esther, Morgan, let's get to it. And I'm gonna start we already have this question in the chat. What is a Dream Manager program? Please tell us. So, and yeah, Mary, jump on in.
I'll tell you, Mary. The founder, the godmother of all Dream Managers.
Thank you. And I had a great opportunity a few years ago to meet Tom Peters at a conference. He was the keynote. I was one of the educational pieces. And he had found the Dream Manager book by Matthew Kelly and read it and had done some video blogs. And so we got to have this conversation. And so he realized that it was our business that started the program that inspired Matthew to write the book, The Dream Manager. And he asked me, how did you come up with this? It's genius. And I said, well, you know, necessity is the mother of all invention, right? We were in desperation mode. I have a cleaning company in Cincinnati, Ohio, and we had hired a consultant who fired us on the second day of a 5-day contract, told us he couldn't help us, that we had a people problem. And like so many companies today, the people problem wasn't that our people were a problem, but we didn't have enough people. And we had to ask different questions. And the biggest and most important question is what could we do to attract people to want to work for us? Of all the other companies, why would they choose our company? And that answer came to recalibrate our magnet of what we were doing to attract people, helping them be successful, to know what's expected of them, and then to be able to help encourage them to stay with us and bring people on with us. And it really started working immediately. And it was all about attracting and retaining people. And as we help people buy homes, we help people with transportation to get to work and get home from afterwards, to speak English, get driver's license, to do things that they never thought to do to improve their quality of life and to move out of survival mode. Our retention improved, our attraction improved, and we have moved to grow to almost 600 employees just in Cincinnati, Ohio, and with a retention that's 300% better than the industry average. And what started as a program to get people excited about their dreams, Meredith, totally evolved into creating a culture of caring. Today, people are drowning in, as with my friend Jason Gaynor, we're drowning in connections through social media, but we're starving for community. And when businesses create a culture of caring, that community comes into play. They feel connected to each other, to support each other and encourage each other to go after, to have the quality of life they've always dreamt of, instead of focusing on the task.
Let me just add one thing, because you talked about several problems that was solved through the Dreaming program.
Right.
Which was, hey, how do I retain talent? How do I attract great talent? And one of the things that we found, so I was the dream manager for 5 years at a company called Infusionsoft, which is a different type of company than a cleaning company and tracks different types of people. And so we had, you know, pretty well-educated engineers hanging out, and they didn't need some of the, maybe the get a driver's license kinds of dreams.
Right.
What they did need is they needed some disruption in their life to help them get to return to a path of growth. In fact, I remember we had one of our chief people officer at the time started dreaming, and he said, you know what, I was stuck in a rut. I was in the rut of success. I was always successful in everything I tried, and I needed to get in a space where I was vulnerable and wondering again. And so the Dream Manager program, which invites our employees to dream, and then having a dream manager or a leader who facilitates and supports that dream, gave him an opportunity to disrupt and to think differently. And so not only are we retaining and acquiring new talent, but we're also disrupting and helping our employees to grow.
And that's what I love about Infusionsoft and what you're doing, Dan, and Esther at NetSureit. It's really easy to look at people in my industry and say, that's really great you do it for those people. I've heard that many times over the years. But what I have found in the speaking that I have done around the world is it doesn't matter how much money you have, how much education you have, or what kind of career you have. People of everybody has gone to a place where they stop dreaming because of disappointments and rejections and divorce and death and all kinds of things that happen in life. And what keeps you moving is that dreaming and having something that you're working toward rather than being stuck.
And the funny part is most people won't change unless there's a divorce, a death in the family, something major. And so unless, barring those events, if we're cruising along in default mode, then we're going to stay put. And dreaming provides us an opportunity to disrupt. And so that's one of the things that we look for. And I know that Morgan mentioned this in a little chat earlier today. Morgan said, hey, listen, one of the reasons we do this is we want people who are constantly evolving and learning in our organization, and not people who are staying stagnant. Is that about right, Morgan? Something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, dreaming is not just about your own personal growth, about I want that next promotion, I want to have more experience in sales versus marketing versus engineering, but having something outside of your office that you get excited about, right? Because we do spend the majority of our life at work or sleeping, but the rest of it should be about fulfilling your passions. And if you can find happiness even outside of work, that's gonna immediately make your work time even better too. But yeah, we love at Blueboard talking about both kinds of dreams, whether it is career growth or about something that's been on your bucket list. And we'll talk later about some of the activities we do to help bring that to life, but it's very important, like you mentioned.
Esther, for anybody that's listening that doesn't know how a Dream Manager program can work, obviously there are a few different ways or a bunch of different ways they can be set up, but would you be willing to share how the program at NetSureit works? So those people who are listening who are like, this sounds so exciting, but what do we do? How does it work?
Yeah, so as you said, there are many ways, different ways to implement a dreams program. But at NetSureit, what we have is our motto across the business is called supporting the dreams of the doers. So once you're a part of NetSureit, you are automatically put into a dream group. And in every dream group, there's a dream manager or a dream group leader and an assistant dream coach. What happens is you come up with 10 dreams at the beginning of our year, and then throughout the year, you are crossing things off the list, like I've accomplished this, or I'm getting closer to accomplishing, or I'm not going to do this one anymore. You just keep an update. I think that for every company that wants to implement a dream program, it would just be to have a structure. And although we're not going to be regimented and very hard and strict, but you allow people to just have some sort of structure that lets them know these are your dreams that you wanna, these are 10 dreams. You can have more or less if you'd like. And you're gonna go through this year of trying to accomplish them. And your dreams can be as big as I wanna go to 192 countries, like I saw someone say, to something like I wanna choose healthier snacks on a day-to-day basis. So I think once implementing a dream program, you want to let people know that anything that you want to be better at, anything that you want to implement in your life that will make you a better person is your dream. And once we get everyone to understand like how various dreams can be, you'll be supported in every single area. You have accountability from your fellow group members, from other members of your company's team, and it will just help to build a person's self-esteem. It helps them to know that they are supported, and therefore when a dream is accomplished, it's celebrated. If a dream is kind of lagging behind, you have people to encourage you, to motivate you. So I definitely think that it's a program that can work anywhere. As Mary was saying, can work in any industry. And yeah, so NetSureit, we just have a really cool way of doing it, which, no offense, I think is the best way.
Esther does some things at NetSureit that are really valuable, like some things that I didn't get to until a little bit further down the path, and where there's some principles that she's basing her dreaming program on that are really important. One of those principles is that you're doing it in a group. Dreaming is not an isolated activity, and it works best when you have a group of people doing it. When we were at Infusionsoft, the way we did that is we would dream as teams. So if we had an IT group of people who were a team that met weekly, we would have that group dream together. So the principle is the same, and we're applying the principle just a little bit differently. And the second principle is to have not just one dream manager that sits in the office and does all of the work for the whole company. That wouldn't work, especially in bigger companies. But she has lots of leaders who are helping those dream pods or teams. It seems like you should call them dream teams. That sounds really easy, but
they are.
Good. So in the dream teams, she has individual leaders who are helping facilitate that process. So I love both of those principles, and that's something we use.
Dan, that was something you and I talked about a long time ago, is how you went, and we went from just having a dream manager that tried to work with all the people to at Jancoa today, it's infiltrated to be part of our culture and the conversation at every level. It's not just one person that everybody goes to, but to have the executive level, the team, and the middle managers and the supervisors and the frontline employees, that they have conversations with each other. It's part of that culture of caring, that everybody encourages and moves everybody forward and challenges them.
It was so funny because I would always have these leaders come up to me and they would say, "Oh, you're the dream manager. I wish I had your job."
Yes.
It finally occurred to me that the way that we would make this program really explode in Infusionsoft is for me to give my job to them. And so we designed a day-long, 2-day-long leadership training. It was called our Dream Manager certification is what we initially called it. And we trained our leaders. We said, hey, we want to teach you how to have a conversation about dreaming. We want to teach you how to have even a simple coaching model that will allow you to kind of meaningfully work through the fact that somebody came and said, I want to be president of the United States. What do we do with that, right? Like, how do we manage it? And that's when it really took off, is when the individual leaders were leading the dreams of their teams.
Dan, I think one of the things you just mentioned, I think is really important, because some people do come up with really big dreams, like being the president of the United States. Some people might have a tendency to just laugh that off and say, well, that's crazy. You can't.
Yeah, I know you, and that's not going to happen, right? That's our tendency.
Yeah, exactly. That is our tendency. And I think that's one really important, is that the role of each other in dream managers, and everybody is a dream manager because we all have people in our life that we want to help them to pursue their dreams, is to be an encourager, to ask questions and to encourage them to do that, and listen graciously, to be able to allow them to figure out for themselves if that's something they really want to do or not. But the dream manager's role is not to kill dreams, but to get people to think through what they want in their lives.
And we can't judge them on the end, right? We can't judge them on the end that they're too big or too small. I got a guy come in my office and he said, my dream is to own an Xbox. And at first, there was part of me was judging just a little bit, but quickly that turned into something really amazing as he accomplished one dream. And then guess what? As he accomplished that dream, the next dream is always a little bit bigger, right? And so he was like, oh, well, I said, well, what's next? And he said, well, now I want to triple my income was the one that he came up with next. And he did that one. And then it was like, what's next, right? So one after the other.
And that's why the list, as Matthew Kelly talks about in the book, The Dream Manager, if you start your list of 100 dreams and you start looking at 12 categories and just asking different questions, and as you go through, it's like an iceberg. What you think you want on the surface, as you ask the questions, you start seeing underneath the surface what's really lying on there and what the possibilities are. And you just always have to have something to look forward to. You know, we always remember as kids or as teenagers the big dreams of the future, but a lot of times as adults, we stop dreaming and we get stuck because we become serious about life and just doing where we're at and going through those motions. But dreaming starts bringing more fun and excitement to be able to get through the things. And I love what you were saying too, Esther, is as people do accomplish these things, that's where esteem gets built and confidence comes from to keep moving forward.
I want to jump in with a question from Esteban on what you guys, Esteban, who's in the live chat right now, asking, how do you help people clearly define their dreams? He says sometimes people don't know their specific dreams or they're not present to them and we have to help them define them. So one thing I hear you all saying is let them start wherever they are, even if it's an Xbox. But do you have specific questions that you recommend to help prompt the dreaming process?
I think for one, we kind of ask, what do you think will make you happier at the end of this year? What are things that can make you happier? What would it take to make you happy at the end of the year? So some people say, well, I'm going to start planning a trip because that would make me happy. I need to take a break. I need to go away. All right. So then planning a trip is on your list of dreams. And some people say, I just want to spend weekends with my kids. So this is what you'll do. You'll just spend. So I think it's just about what you think will make you a better person, a happier person at the end of the year or whatever period that you give yourself. That's the structure that I would use.
And I'd like to add a little bit to what Esther said. I'm a coach with Strategic Coach, and Dan Sullivan, the founder, has this great question, and I use it all the time because it wraps the brain differently. Instead of looking at where you're at and where you want to be, okay, a year from now, what do you want? Go a year forward in your brain. Say, okay, we're already at the end of 2019. What has to happen for you to be really happy with your progress in all aspects of life? And I challenge people frequently to take some time, be in a coffee shop or someplace, put on your headphones, and just give yourself 20 minutes to write down, okay, it's already December of 2019. What does your life look like? Personally, professionally, financially, physically, relationships, all aspects of your life. And then you can kind of reverse engineering and take out what are some of the different dreams that are involved in that and start putting things into motion to make those happen.
Fantastic. So we have, thank you all. And we have Stephanie, who's also in the chat, asking, can you speak to the budget you recommend for successful dream programs? Is there a percent of payroll? How much of this is, like, what's the barrier to entry to get in, and how much does it really cost? If you want to get one started.
I like to start answering that for Stephanie. I was eyeing that question. The magic of how we do the dream program at NetSureit is that it doesn't cost anything. We have people come up with the most it costs is time. We have people come up with their dreams and put it in a PowerPoint presentation. You can use real pictures or online pictures that you grab. It does not cost a dime to dream. It doesn't cost a dime to support someone else's dream. And you don't have to worry about a percentage of payroll or who's paying this month or who's going to sponsor this month. That's not how we do it. And while there are other companies that might give a percentage of payroll or whatever it is to the program, we don't. And we do have people that have been excellent at accomplishing their dreams with no money down. It's true.
And she even throws in a free candle when she does.
That's right. All right, and just seeing what is this other question here. 1 second. Okay.
Oh yeah, I wanted to add in on that too, just really quick too. I 100% support the conversations are free, right? It's just you making the time as a manager or as a leader to institute a culture of dreaming, if we want to brand it that way, at your company. One thing we do like to talk about though too is like, if you are thinking about making an investment, it doesn't have to be a brand new budget. What are some of the programs that you're already investing in that you might be able to tailor towards dream making? And of course, like on our end with recognition, that's a great place to do it, because you might already have a recognition budget, but you might not be happy with how people are using it. So instead of having to go to your leadership and say, we want this whole new, brand new big budget because I got inspired by Mary and Dan and Esther and I need all this money, think about the programs that are already in place. It might be just how you revamp your performance management conversations, which is technically free, right? Because those are conversations and part of maybe quarterly planning or quarterly career setting. It might be how you revamp recognition, and you're going to say, I don't know what these people do with gift cards. Maybe we should let them invest in experiences that can be tied to a bucket list or tied to these dreams. So it doesn't have to be new money. It could be existing money that's done in a more meaningful way.
I agree that there probably wants to be some infrastructure as much as you can. And I know there is some infrastructure, even in NetSureit, where we're saying, hey, there's a way we do it. There are books we hand out. So I think there's good to have an infrastructure for the program, whether it's a software program that allows some infrastructure for people to be engaged, whether it's a training model, like some of the things we do. So we want to put some structure in place, because just like in our personal lives, when we get busy, how we oftentimes will start pushing dreams to the back burner. It's the same thing in a company's life. When a company gets busy and when things get tight, the thing we want to do is we want to push dreams to the back burner. And those programs that have some really strong structure are the ones that are able to endure through that kind of tight and crazy time. And so to have a program that you have installed where there's the infrastructure, there's some training, it's already built in, that's going to allow it to endure.
I want to just piggyback on something you guys are saying about the structure and also existing budget, however big or small, that there's a company that I love called Elite SEM that has people write their bucket list of things they'd love to do, not goals that they have to personally go to work on, but things like, I would love to go to a Yankee game with my son or go to Fiji. And that bucket list they do in their onboarding process. And that company, when they have rewards over the lifetime of that employee's life at the company, instead of giving just cash, will apply it to the people's specific dreams. And I really love that that's another way that companies can get behind people's dreams in a way that's not just like, oh, that money went into my bank account and who knows where it went, but went to something that I deeply care about as a way to get rewarded. So just wanted to share another company's doing that I love. So we have a question from Randy, which is, what's the role of leaders at all levels to support the team's dreams? Do leaders get recognized and rewarded for the team's dreams success? How do you inspire them at every level of management to want to focus on employees in this way? And how do you hold them accountable? So any of you want to jump in on that one?
Yeah, let me jump in really quickly. That's one of the things, I know Rob, who's on the call today. Hey, Rob. One of the things we did is we went in and we helped to certify their leaders to be Dream Leader Certified as a way of just kind of showing them, hey, let's teach them and give them some training and conversation. Because one of the reasons, the primary reason, this is my suspicion, the primary reason that leaders don't have these kinds of conversations is because they don't know how. And so you want to, like everyone I talk to, I've never bumped into a leader, I said, hey, do you care about your people and their dreams? And they go, no, I really don't. I could care less. I just haven't met one yet. They probably do exist. I believe they exist out there somewhere. I just haven't met them.
I'm not going to ask you about it, Dan.
Yeah, exactly. But so as we train the leaders and we give them some understanding of how to have these conversations with those that they lead, that's when they start. If they can open that door, usually it works out really fantastically. and as far as whether or not we have them measured on the success of their employees' dreams, that's not really something we measure. In fact, we don't bring dreaming into performance management conversations. If somebody's not accomplishing their dream, that's not against, right? This is their thing. And really it is about the care for that individual. And the reward for the leader is honestly, like when I talked to one leader, came to me one day and she said, Dan, since I've started helping my people to dream, she said, my work has become way more fulfilling and happy. In fact, some of the most fulfilling work I've done my entire career as I've started to help. So that's really the reward. There's no reward necessary.
I've got to tell you, I've never been excited about cleaning toilets and mopping floors. Not been my dream. But we now have 600 people just here that through the Dream Manager and through the task that pays them and we get paid by allows us to get people excited about the future. We can't get involved too much in the specific task, but to really be focused on the bigger picture. And these are just little tidbits. There's the Dream Manager book is in 15 languages. There's companies and people all over the world. There's a bookstore in London, England that has a monthly lunch and learn where the team members that want to talk about their dreams bring their lunch and they sit around and talk about the different things they're working on and how they can support each other. Because as humans, as we talk out loud is when we get clarity and get excited about possibility. When other people chirp in to encourage each other, it makes a difference. You know, Dan's got the programs, Matthew Kelly, Floyd Consulting has programs to train dream managers. Bucketlist.org has an amazing software working with companies that is, and every company has their teams, and whether it's 10 employees or 15,000 employees can put their dreams on the bucketlist.org and they can give reports to the HR and the dream managers to say, hey, you know, 20% of your people are really interested in bungee jumping. Esther, that's for you because of the bungee jumping video on your website from Dreamers in South Africa. So when people are creative, and that's what I love about this conversation, is what started as this little nugget in Cincinnati is now international, getting people excited about what's possible. And that's what gives energy. And every accomplishment feeds that confidence to move people to the next level. It's like the old game Mario, right? The minute you solve one world, there's another world to be able to go after and conquer. And let's go conquer these dreams and be excited and enjoy life.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. So what is the best way to get your company on board to add a recognition program or a dream manager program to its repertoire or to its budget? Anybody can jump in.
Yeah, I'd be happy to chime in there. To me, if I'm a bigger company, meaning over 100 employees, 150 employees, my favorite word when I was on the leadership development team was pilot. And so it became a lot easier for decision makers in the organization when there was something that was a little bit revolutionary. We would just say, hey, we just want to pilot this. And so I would start with a small group. That's how we started in Infusionsoft. We found a small group. We got our leader trained and we said, hey, we want to pilot a little program and see if it works. And once that pilot takes off and gets root and we start to see great shoots from that to see if it fits within our organization, then we can start, we can talk through the scaling process. And so if that's where I would start, and that's something that would be really easy, and I'm happy to work with you. I'm sure there are others that would be happy to help you get the proposal together to say, hey, we want to start piloting this. I'm sure Morgan has ways. They've worked with a lot of companies to implement programs where it can be a low cost, relatively low risk beginning to get a program started.
Yeah, just to add on to that, we work really closely with clients now who are thinking about bringing Blueboard on just to really build out a business case and understand what your goals are, understand what's working, what's not working, help make sure that we have the infrastructure in place to make sure that we're measuring the true impact of the program. So all of that gives a lot of comfort to leadership as well, just really knowing that we've thought through the whole picture and have some really interesting, important goals to tackle together, and have a lot of the things set up ahead of time just to make sure that the program's a success. With regards to pilots, I will say that they can be valuable, but you want to make sure that you have enough of an audience and enough of a representative group trying out the program to make sure that it can still be built for awareness and adoption and stickiness. So maybe not a group of like 5 to 10 people, but if you took, for example, like 25% of your organization, even half of the organization, use that as a centralized group to run the program through, get their feedback, and then iterate. Just making sure you have representation from a seniority, role, department as well.
Yeah, and the good news is that most of the programs that this will be replacing or that might compete for dollars with probably aren't performing that well anyway. So if you have a recognition program and you're going, is this really helping? What evidence do we have that this is really helping? There probably isn't a lot of evidence that it's really helping. So to try something new probably will be palatable to most leaders.
Yes. On the point of how the programs help, what are the things that you have seen and observed or measured that are the impact of this kind of personalized investment in people?
Well, I'd like to start just with what the difference has been for us at Jancoa. Is I had already mentioned the retention, rather than the industry average for retention in the janitorial, which is probably employs more people than any other industry, is 400% average is what the average is. And back in the 90s, when we started doing these different programs, we were at 380. So we were better than average. So I thought we were doing pretty good. But today we're 300% better than the industry average. And when you have the same people doing the same jobs, your efficiencies improve. So we can clean more per square foot than our competitors, and we have the consistency because we have the same people. We actually had one of our competitors selling against us saying one of their benefits is their high turnover because you never have to pay higher wage rates. What? So it makes a difference because our employees are engaged. They're working towards something in their life they feel good about, and so they feel good about the tasks they're doing that helps feed that and make that happen. And so the performances are better, the efficiencies are better. We grew last year 17% without a sales team. All of our people, all of our jobs have come from referrals from our current customers. And that's where our employees come from also. So when you're doing what you say you do and you get the results, our top line is improved and so is our bottom line because the cost of that turnover doesn't exist and the efficiencies has increased our productivity.
Well, those numbers speak for themselves. Esther and Dan, do you guys want to add anything about the impact in the organization?
I would like to add the impact that the Dreams program has on NetSureit is our history of having dreams accomplished and dreams achieved. When you look at the history of people putting a dream out there and then weeks, months later coming back and saying, I'm doing it, or I did it, it sort of helps for people who don't really buy in or people who are doubtful. It helps them to say, now, wait a minute, if you just accomplish that, then I can accomplish a dream too. So let me put something out there. Let me try this for myself. And then you have this snowball effect of people submitting dreams and then accomplishing the dreams. I think the history is the evidence of other people accomplishing their dreams. That's what helps us to grow and just be magical.
And Esther, doesn't that, it's like rocket fuel. It just gets everybody excited. When people want to celebrate each other and see what people are doing. And it creates that community.
It does. That's why I wanted to respond to Robert really quickly. I feel like this ties in. He's saying that what other important aspect is making it organic and not expecting them to jump in with both feet immediately, letting the value speak for itself. For us, when we're doing recruiting, we let people know the Dreams program is the backbone of our company. If you don't feel like you want to participate in the Dreams program, then this might not be the company for you.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's so important for everyone coming in to be a part of the Dreams program. Forget your skills, forget the commute, forget the day-to-day tasks. Primarily what we place as precedence is, are you going to be involved in this Dreams program? And for someone that says, oh no, I'm not really comfortable with sharing my personal dreams, kind of just swipe by that resume and just say, well, they're not a fit for our culture. And once you do that, you have people that are excited to share their dreams, and it just lets people know that this company really cares about what's going on with me outside of my 9-to-5 position here. And that's one of the things that are so important and so beautiful for us as a company, that it's the Dreams program first. One of our other mottos is people, clients, profit. We care about our people first, then we care about our clients, and then we care about the profit.
Yeah, we used to have a motto that was happy people equals happy customers equal happy shareholders, in that order. Right? And
yeah, for sure.
I love that. That's what we saw too, right? We saw not only were we attracting more talent, people were saying, hey, I'm willing to take a pay cut to come to your company because of the streaming thing, because we believe, if you believe in my dreams, then that's the kind of company I want to work for. And at the end of the day, folks, like, I know that numbers are important, but let's just remember that at the core of all of this is humans. Like, think human, right? Like at the end of the day, people, we all know, it is self-evident that when I am committed to a task, I outperform myself when I'm not committed. When I feel invested in a relationship, I give more to that relationship. When I don't feel invested in a relationship, this is self-evident stuff. It's not that difficult to explain when we have our brains on and we recognize we're dealing with humans.
Yeah, and motivation is such a powerful thing, especially when it's intrinsic. We talk about that a lot, even at Blueboard, of not related even to our product and our customers, but even as our own people team, how do we think about what is really going to motivate someone differently than someone else? Maybe they don't want to be told what to do. They want to be presented a problem they get to solve, or they want to be part of departmental goal setting or whatever it might be. And making sure that you allow them to really chart their own path and have that own, like jet fuel, like you were talking about earlier, to really make things happen.
The next frontier of HR is intrinsic motivation.
Yes.
And it's winning the game of intrinsic motivation. If you can win that game, you will win. Like, because it's close. It's like having players in the game that want to play versus those who don't. The players who want to play will win every time. And so that's the question everyone should be asking, is how do we get people intrinsically motivated? Great.
Yes. My background is as a scientist. Before this world, I was a scientist, and the behavior scientist in me geeks out on this conversation, because if what you want in an organization is intrinsic motivation, and how behavior gets embedded is the informal incentives going on around us, not just the carrot and stick. So as people are seeing people accomplish their dreams, accomplishing dreams themselves, building motivation, it creates all sorts of new practices through that simple structure of the Dream Manager program that then get embedded in the mindsets and behavior of how people are functioning inside the organization. So love from the scientist. So we have a kind of edgy question that came in that I like, which is, what if someone's dream is not aligning with this company that they're in? So they're here in your organization and you're investing in the Dream Manager program, and their dream is not aligned with their job. Then what?
Meredith, nobody's ever dreamt of being a janitor. Newsflash!
That's the answer right there.
On the way to a dream, or way to be able to survive and get through life. And sometimes people accept jobs because they're not sure what to do next. And I heard somebody once say, and I love it, doesn't every company want people who want to work there be there? So if people want to stay, then they'll stay. But have the people there that are working toward what they want in their life are engaged. No, there's no guarantees that any employee is going to stay at a job forever. And that's something that nobody should expect. But when you build an environment that people want to be in and you encourage them to be who they're made to be, if they leave, you will attract more people to fill what you need. And they go on to what they're doing. That cycle constantly goes and flows. And so it's really important that we give people the release. And we've had people leave that we hated to see go, and we've had people come back because it's like, wait a minute, they don't treat me the same way as they do at Jancoa because the grass isn't always greener. Yeah. So you build that environment and you either attract or people will go on what they're doing, and you'll attract more with even better and different skills than the one that left.
I had a CEO who came to me and said, Dan, what if I teach them to dream and they leave? And I was like, so you'd rather keep them complacent?
Congratulations,
right. And so he's like, no, I don't want to keep them ignorant and complacent. And I said, then they might leave, right? That's like the parent who wants to keep their kid around through 40. It's just A, not healthy, and B, not really demonstrating.
There was a quick story at NetSureit. There was a guy that started working here, and he was here for like 6 months, and he really bought into the Dreams program. And then he offered a letter of resignation, and everybody was shocked because he was such a good employee. And he said that he realized one of his dreams is that he wants to travel the world. He just wants to backpack it and go. And we all sort of, the entire company was just supportive and let him go. I mean, it is sad to see someone who's excelling in the company to just leave, but we much rather support people as they accomplish their dreams. And it is a rhetoric, a consistent rhetoric, that people that have left the company would see people in the company and say, I still create a dream list every year, or I'm still a part of this dreams program, or I'm still, like, I've shared it with my wife, with my husband, with my friends. So it's a program that it's much deeper than what your company is and the position that the employee has at the company, but because you're dealing with the actual person, you're dealing with the human. And when you see that that person is impacted beyond the company and beyond their shift, I think you would definitely feel better about yourself and your impact on the world when you see that one person has taken this dreams program to be life-changing. And you know, they go through life knowing that this dreams program is now embedded in me. I'm going to take it through my world, everyone that I meet. I think that it's an awesome thing. Even if they don't stay with your company, you've impacted a life.
Preach, Esther.
Right. All right. We're coming toward the end. So I have a final question for each of you panelists. If the people that are on this webinar right now, you can answer one of two questions for them. Ready? One is the one thing you want them to know that didn't get said, that you want to make sure they know or hear before the end of this webinar. That's question one. Or you can answer, what's the one most high leverage action they can take if they're going to do just one thing coming out of this webinar? What should that be? Ready? Got the question? All right. Let's start with you, Morgan.
All right. The one thing that we didn't get to cover was, we talked a little bit about measurement, but I wanted to break it down a little bit more because I think measurement can exist. And even though we want to focus on the passion and the inspiration behind the program, if you're going to continue funding it, and a lot of the times with leadership, they need to see still something. So there's two pieces. The first is the qualitative, which I love that Esther spoke to. It's about the storytelling. How do you amplify? How do you promote the stories that are coming from people achieving their dreams, whether that's announcing photos and videos during a town hall, putting some of those stories into a newsletter, on TVs throughout your office or in your waiting room. That's really what helps build culture immediately. And it's more of the warm fuzzy, but it's visibility, right? And knowing that people are actually doing things with this program and they're seeing a lot of happiness from that. The second piece is really about the quantitative. And if you're running engagement surveys, if you're working, for example, with Blueboard, we do a post-experience engagement survey to ask questions that tie back to engagement. So Does this program make you want to stay with the company longer? Are you more motivated to perform in your role now that you've either gone on this experience or gotten to start making progress towards your dreams? Those are going to be great statistics that you can continue to share with leadership. And it's all about just baking those questions into the tools that you already use to monitor engagement. And if anyone is curious about some of the questions we ask at Blueboard, you're welcome to shoot me an email. I'm happy to share those with you. And I'm just Morgan at blueboard.com. So that's my piece on
Morgan, thank you. Who's jumping in next?
I'll jump in. So, like Morgan was saying, it is about visibility. And one of the things that we have at NetSureit is a dream wall. And on that wall, it is shuffled between everyone's dreams. You constantly see it. We also have a, where everyone's dream books is in this portal where everyone can go to it. We can see what dreams are there. We can see what you have planned for the year. And that just allows us to really build a community, like Mary said. And you see things, you get inspired by other people's dreams. We have constant programs that go through the year. For now, we do have an Inspired By program where people will start to share what dream has inspired you from someone else's dream book. Either you want to do it too, or it just touched you. So I think the visibility and the sharing of the dreams make it wonderful. And I just think that it's a program that needs to be in every single company.
Love it. All right, Mary and Dan, I know this is totally unfair, but you each get 30 seconds. 30 seconds of the one thing you want people to know or do. Ready? Dan, go.
Here's the thing. I remember sitting in the seat where I didn't know how to do a dream program. And I just want to let you know you're not alone. Like, I'm here to help. I know that there are others that are here to help. Feel free to reach out at finddreamleadershipconsulting.com. Come check us out, and I would be happy to jump on the phone with anyone. So I guess my 30 seconds is you're not alone. We will help. And because it's that important to me, at least, that, and I'm sure for everyone else, that these programs get started, they're transformational.
Real quick, everybody is born with dreams. Everybody has the gifts and talents to achieve those dreams. And I believe the adventure of life is bringing those pieces together, and that's when passion comes alive. And I think everybody is the dream manager. Everybody is a leader. Lead by example. Go after your dreams. People will want to know what's going on. Share and encourage others. Ask questions, but live by example and go after those dreams and be what you're made to be. And don't worry about what other people think.
Love you people. Those of you who chimed in the chat and your questions, whether through registration or through the chat function, so happy you were here. This panel, oh my goodness, thank you so much. Feel so grateful to spend this hour with you. And Morgan, I'm going to turn it back over to you for any final words.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks to everybody who joined us. I love the story and conversation, and stay in touch with us. Like I mentioned, blueboard.com/resources. We'll be doing more webinars in the new year. And if you had to deck out early, we'll be sharing out the recording next week. And see you next time, everyone. Have a great rest of your week.
Excellent.
Bye.
Happy Thanksgiving to all the Americans.
That's right. Goodbye, everybody, and thank you so much.
Thank you.